Order. Question number 7, Grant Robertson.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. My question is to the Minister of Finance. Is GDP per capita growth what matters most for achieving higher material living standards as stated in Budget 2016? If so, why?
The Honourable Bill English.
Mr. Speaker, yes, because it's a measure of wealth per person, but it is only one measure of material living standards. There are others such as levels of employment, wages and economic growth, all of which add up for New Zealand to a positive package of reasonable outlook for the economy and therefore for household incomes and jobs.
Supplementary question, Grant Robertson.
Is ANZ Chief Economist Cameron Bagrie correct when he describes an annual per capita GDP growth rate of 0.7% as, quote, lacklustre?
The Honourable Bill English.
Well, Mr. Speaker, it's a matter of opinion, and sometimes I agree with what the ANZ Bank economist says and sometimes I don't. It's not a surprise, though, that at the moment per capita GDP is lower than, its growth rate is lower than in some previous periods because we're having a strong growth in population. New Zealand has become a place where Kiwis want to stay home, others want to come and live, and so population numbers are growing just a bit faster than GDP. In time, though, that growth will slow down and GDP per capita will pick up.
Supplementary question, Grant Robertson.
Are Westpac wrong when they say that the picture is, quote, far from perfect when it comes to growth, because they are forecasting per capita growth in the June quarter to amount to 0.6%?
The Honourable Bill English.
Well, Mr. Speaker, where I would disagree with Westpac is relying on quarterly numbers. I mean, GDP per capita matters in the long run. In the short run, we've got a surge in population. That's a good problem. I mean, we would have high monthly GDP per capita if lots of people were leaving. And of course, that would be a much bigger problem than the problems of growth which we have and are positive problems.
Supplementary question, Grant Robertson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Why is Paul Glass from Devon Fund Management wrong when he says, quote, you do need to strip out population growth because the number that matters is real GDP growth per capita. We only grow our share of the economic cake when GDP per capita grows. Otherwise, we are running hard to stay still.
The Honourable Bill English.
Well, Mr. Speaker, the member's up to his old trick, and that is that if you take out all the things that are growing, then there's no growth. So it used to be too much dairy, and you would take that out, there's no growth. Too much tourism, too much construction, and now it's too many people. But actually, if we include all the things that are growing, yes, we have a growing economy.
Supplementary question, Fletcher Tabutai.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Does the Minister accept that a feeble real per capita growth rate and a persistently low inflation rate, by definition, means that many people are unnecessarily underemployed and unemployed right now?
The Honourable Bill English.
Well, Mr. Speaker, some people are unemployed and some are underemployed. Our unemployment rate is one of the, I think, in about the top half dozen of the developed world. And the underemployment rate, it's got a new name now, but if you want to compare it, the New Zealand rate is 12% and the Australian rate is 20%, and that is why New Zealanders are staying home in their thousands. Things simply look better here than other parts of the world, and that's a good thing, not a bad thing.
Supplementary question, Grant Robertson.
Isn't Paul Glass from Devon Fund Management correct when talking about GDP per capita growth being lacklustre and saying that is why people don't really feel like the economy is growing strongly, because on a per capita basis, it isn't?
The Honourable Bill English.
Well, Mr. Speaker, it's a sweeping generalisation. So, for instance, well, as we've explained earlier in answers to questions in the House, real wages are growing at a rate better than quite a lot of time in the past. But if you take GDP per capita, for instance, the dairy sector incomes, which are 6 to 7% of GDP, are way down on where they were. But that doesn't mean everyone's income is down. It holds the average down, but actually wage and salary earners have significant and persistent real wage increases. They're doing well. They're doing pretty well. Farmers at the moment aren't doing so well. But the bad news for the member is that if dairy prices pick up, per capita income will also pick up. And when he asks the question for the 12th time, I think, or 13th time, the answer will be pretty good.
Question